What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another DIY video on my G80 M3. Today's video is going to be a good one because we're actually going to be doing some exterior modifications which are really going to enhance this car. So for today's modification, we're actually going to be doing color matched lower trim. So if you guys aren't aware of the G80, G82, M3, M4, the lower trim is all kind of this black shadow line, and I don't know why BMW did that. It's like their first M car that they've really done this kind of color scheme to. And I really, actually on my last car, my blue G80 M3, my manual, I really wanted to do paint matched lower trim as well, and I kind of just cheaped out, decided not to do it, and because I wanted to get the car PPF'd and all that stuff. But with the BRG here, I wanted to take a different approach, and I wanted to have it all painted to match the beautiful British Racing green. And just to show you guys what I'm talking about here, this is the lower trim that I'm referring to. So it's got obviously some front, we call these splitters in the front. So those are black, one there, one there. So we're gonna have to remove the carbon lip in order to get to those. Additionally, we have the black side skirts. And then we have the rear bumper skirts back here. So all of that is all black. And actually the stock diffuser, if you guys weren't aware, is also black. Additionally, this upper part of the trim is also a black shadow line. But as you guys can see, I have this one already painted in British Racing green. So what I didn't want to happen was I didn't want to take all of my stock parts off and go get it custom painted and then wait a really long time without having parts on my car and driving around without side skirts and without pieces all over it. And so that's kind of why I decided to source an additional set of all of this trim. And so some of which I purchased for very cheap. A couple guys actually gave me some of their leftover pieces because they upgraded to carbon or what have you. And so it wasn't a super expensive cost for me to get a second set of these. So it made sense, but the only piece I couldn't find was this upper diffuser right here. So if you guys weren't aware, the diffuser is actually two pieces. It's this lower one, which I've already changed to carbon, and then it's got this little upper diffuser all the way across. And so that one I already had, and I just drove the car around for a little while, a couple weeks, or maybe a week or a week and a half with nothing. And when I finally got it all back from custom painting, I went ahead and put this piece back on because I didn't want to drive around without a piece there. So I did take the risk of not putting any PPF on here, but I am going to have all of this stuff professionally paint corrected, as well as PPF'd and ceramic coated by my detailers over at Eastside Auto Spa. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the paint match would look like. And I actually had all of this stuff painted over at my friends over at Enthusiast Auto Group in Cincinnati. And so they did a phenomenal job. Their paint booth is fantastic. And so as you guys can see, it matches really well. This was also a black piece, and this is a black piece. So 3 pieces on the upper diffuser, and I've been rocking it like that for the last several weeks. But when you are doing custom paint work, you do want to let the paint off gas for at least a minimum of 30 days, depending on their painting process and how they clear coat and how they dry everything. Some shops may request that you wait a little bit longer, but I needed a minimum of 30 days to let this kind of off gas before putting them onto the car, and then before getting it all professionally paint protected filmed. But here's what we're looking at. So again, we've got the side skirts, which same thing, these side skirts are actually 2 pieces. You'll see that the lower piece is black. That's the part that we're replacing. This is actually also part of the side skirt. This is a separate piece that goes all the way down. So I'm not sure why BMW made side skirts into 2 pieces, but that's what they did. And for some reason they didn't want to do paint match on the bottom. So they did all this weird black trim, which scratches really easily. On my last G80, I had it all PPF'd and paint corrected and PPF'd and all that stuff. But again, wanted to change the look. I think it looks a lot more aggressive. I've seen a couple pictures of guys who have done paint matched lower trim on their cars, and it looks fantastic. I haven't seen anybody here in person, in Ohio at least, that has done this. So we'll be a one of one. And I think there's only one other British Racing Green painted car that has done painted lower trim as well. So pretty rare. It's going to look really, really nice, I think. But again, so we'll have the side skirts that you'll see right here, which I'll show you guys how to be removing. I'll show you how to remove all this stuff in today's video, obviously. And then I've got the rear skirts right here, and then the two little ones in the front, which are going to be the most time consuming and the hardest to remove. So I think what we'll get started with is the rear, just to complete the rear. Should be pretty simple, but I will walk you guys through these steps. Okay, like I mentioned, we're going to start here on the rear bumper skirts. So both left and right sides are going to be the exact same process, but it does help that I have this extra set here to kind of look and see what we're dealing with. But I've already done this before, so I know what to expect. But you'll see that we've got a couple holes here on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all going to be plastic clips that need to be removed. They are reusable. And then on the top here, you'll see that there are these kind of retaining tabs that hold itself into the actual bumper. And so the most appropriate way, actually, the most careful way to do this will be to remove the entire bumper and then pull these off. But I've already done this before. I know exactly how to do this without breaking any of the clips. A lot of people do break these clips because they don't know how to properly take these off. And so basically, you know, what you're gonna wanna do when you're doing this is, first of all, we're gonna remove these 4 bottom plastic clips. And then what you kind of want to do is start in this section, and you're going to pull this section out first, and it's going to kind of fold out. If you start back here, you end up breaking clips. So you kind of want to start here and do kind of swift motion, and having this extra set here is helpful because we can see exactly where those additional clips on the top, the tabs, are located, so we have an idea of what to expect. But it's all just compression fitted in there. So again, driver side and passenger side are going to be the exact same process, and let's get to it. All right, so for these 4 clips down here on the bottom, there can be 1, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got myself a plastic trim tool. I've got this tool, which is super helpful. It's kind of like a fingernail wedge tool, and then I've got this larger metal one just in case I need it, but these are pretty easy to take off. You kind of need to pull it down like that, and then you can use the plastic trim tool in order to pull it the rest of the way. It will probably go flying, but again, these are reusable, which is really good. Not that these are expensive to replace, but if you break one, it is replaceable. So this is how they look up close. So it's got this center, kind of the center pin, and when it's pushed in, it actually expands the plastic clip, and it helps retain into place. So pretty simple. And these BMWs are all covered in these types of clips. All right, so there's all 4. All right, so at this point we are ready to pull this off. So we're gonna start here on this side, closest to the inner part of the bumper here. Again, if you start over here, you run the risk of breaking clips, plus it'll end up bending into this part of the diffuser, which you don't want to do. So I'm gonna grab it right here and pull straight out. So you do have to manhandle this a little bit. There we go. Once you get a couple started, I think swift motions work easier. So, didn't break a single clip, and we're good to go. So super simple to remove these. And since this is off, it does get pretty dirty back underneath there, so I'm gonna take some time to clean this up. The other thing I do wanna mention is if you are replacing this upper diffuser part, what you need to do is remove the lower diffuser. I've got a video for that from my previous G80 on how to install a diffuser. But you'll have to remove the lower diffuser in order to get the upper diffuser off. And basically, I think there's a couple of clips down here on the bottom. And then same thing, there are these plastic tabs that go all the way across on the top. So just know that in order to remove this piece, you have to remove the rear side splitters first, as well as the center diffuser in order to get this top upper diffuser off. All right, so once you've got that side off, you'll move back under the car. We're gonna work on getting this big center diffuser out. And so there are 4 retaining clips under here as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4th one is way down there. And same thing, there are just some kind of little tabs that go all the way around the perimeter of this part of the diffuser, and you just need to yank it out. So swift motions will get it out. So as you guys could see there, you kind of have to manhandle it. I'd say the hardest part here is this first couple side clips, or actually just this lower one right here. Right here. So you can kind of see how these clips work. If you push it in a little bit, it'll release. So that's kind of why you yank it pretty swiftly, and then it'll all come off. And just kind of go down the line. You have to manhandle it, and we didn't break any clips, so didn't bend anything. Pretty simple. So now that we've got that off, we can work on the upper diffuser as well. So same thing, the upper doesn't have anything else on here other than clips that go all the way around. So I'm gonna start down here on this little piece first. All right, so we need to get this tow hook cover off here. There's a little arrow right here. If you push it straight up, just like that, it'll kind of release, and you can kind of navigate it out. And there's a way to actually remove this whole thing. So kind of just need to navigate the wire out and kind of squeeze it together. So if you squeeze this together like this, it'll release. And now we've got this tow hook cover off. So that's pretty simple. And now we can work on this one here. Same thing. Just need to kind of pull swiftly. There are just a couple of retaining clips that go all the way around it, and we should be able to release it relatively easily at this point, since we've already gotten a lot of the other things out of the way. Start from the bottom. A couple of little retaining clips here, no big deal. There we go. This is the hardest part right there. Should be able to go up the line now and pull it off. There we go. Clips all still good. Perfect. So that's that piece, and then we're gonna work this way. Or actually, I'm gonna start on this side and work this way. All right, so same thing. Grab it here from the bottom. There's kind of an inner skin that's body colored, so just wanna make sure you don't pull that part. Kind of separate the two. That'd be easier to get underneath here so you can see. I do recommend wearing gloves. There we go. It is scary, I will say. Fantastic. Didn't break anything. Good to go. And just to show you guys, here's a comparison of the two.
side by side the stock black versus the OEM, also OEM piece that's custom painted BRG. So super simple, and we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this now. Same thing, we're gonna start in this section and then wrap it around that way. So just make sure everything is kind of lined up here before you start pushing things down. Pretty self-explanatory, I believe. All right, just like that. Make sure everything is snapped into place and that it's not gonna come back out on you. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and reinstall our 4 clips here on the bottom. This is by far the easiest, I think, of what we need to be doing today. Side skirts are also easy. The front is going to be the hardest and most time consuming, hence why I'm leaving that to last. Voila. Alright, there you have it. Driver's side is complete. Same with that upper rear diffuser. And this is the passenger side, which we have yet to do. But again, same exact process, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that one off camera and come back and show you what the rear looks like. All right, guys, the entire rear is completed. Obviously the car is a little dirty like I mentioned previously, but I think when this is all cleaned up and when we get some PPF on here, this is gonna look really, really nice. So we've got both driver and passenger sides on, and now we can start working on the side skirts over here. Moving along here to the driver's side skirt. Again, these are 2 pieces, so we are only removing the lower black portion, and I believe these are marked because if you look at the tag on this one, it does have an L underneath here somewhere, and I think that signifies that this is the left side, because the other side skirt over there says R, so I'm pretty sure that's for the right side. So we'll compare when we get this one off, but very similar process. The only thing is there are, I think, 10 rivets underneath here, kind of rivet clips that are one-time use, unfortunately. So unlike the rear and unlike the front, those are, for some reason, BMW use different clips that you basically have to push the pin in, you lose the pin, and then you can pull the clip out. So those are one-time use. I will put a link in the description, or a part number in the description below, for the clips that you need, but these are what they look like. So these are blind rivets. This is the part number here, but again, the link will be in the description, but you can kind of see how these work. I'll take one out and show you guys. All right, so the way that these blind rivets work, again, it's got a center pin, basically. As you guys can see, it's really long. And so basically what happens is you use a rivet gun, which I'll show you here in a minute. They can be purchased on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below for the rivet gun that I have. But basically you'll just drop this into the rivet gun, snap it, and what it'll do is it'll push this center kind of piece up, and it'll expand while doing so. So again, we've got, I think there's 10 on each side, and I think I bought a couple extra just in case something happens and they break or something like that. So I do have 25 of them here, and always good to have spares on hand. So I'll show you guys the rivet gun. All right, so this is my rivet tool that I got from Amazon. Link will be in the description. But again, basically what we're gonna do is you're gonna take this, when it's time to install, drop it in like so, and then you're gonna squeeze the trigger here and it's gonna snap off, and it'll hold it in place. So there are no other screws otherwise. It's just a bunch of those kind of clips on the very top end, and we'll just have to yank that off just like we did on the rear. All right, so I'm gonna start here on the back. So the first one here, basically what we're gonna do, there's one right here, there's one right here. Again, there's 10 of them. So you basically want to push that center pin in. You might need to give it some force just to push it in. You can use a really skinny screwdriver, or a punch would be helpful if you've got one. So we're going to push that up. So that's how it's going to sound. You're going to basically lose that center pin, and then we're going to come back with our little trim tool here. and we're going to pull out the remaining part of the clip here. Alright, so this is what the clip looks like after you pull it off. So again, one-time use. So we're going to do this all the way down the line here. Show you guys another one. Show you one right here. Same thing. Push up in the center. Just like that. Might be easier to jack the car up in the air, but I'm going to try to do it here before. Alright. Actually, we might have to jack it up anyway because I don't think my rivet gun will fit in here in the way. There we go. So, just continue on down the line. So yep, there are 10 of these per side. So here's kind of a closer look of what these look like. So this one doesn't have that pin in the middle. It pushed all the way through. Some of them push through, some don't. So this one still has part of the pin still in there, but again, you cannot reuse these. These are basically trash. So the what happens is when you push this all the way through, this little piece that comes out is going to be stuck up in the side skirt. So this tiny little piece right here, it's going to be up in the side skirt, so it will fall out when you actually pull the side skirt off, and finding these, reusing them is not feasible. So, all right, so once you've got all 10 of those off, all you need to do is start on one of these sides here and just pull it off just like we did on the back. Nice swift motion. Just gonna go down the line here. There we go. So, like I said, all of those little plastic clips, they've all been kind of falling off on the floor here, or they're stuck up in here, but finding a couple of these on the floor. So, pretty simple, just take your time. And I was correct. So this has L1 right here. So this is the left side. So just double checking over here, make sure that this also says L1, which it does. So this is the correct side skirt. Additionally, this does get really dirty behind here, so it's a good opportunity to clean this up as well. Reinstall process is the same. Start on one side and work your way down. Start up here and we'll get things lined up. And push into place. Alright, and then just kind of go down the line using my thumbs just to push up here where the clips are. Make sure everything is nicely in there and that this is lined up nice and flush. There's a little bit of movement back and forth, so just make sure that this is nice and flush on both front and back sides. There we go. It's fitted. So in order to get my rivet gun underneath there, I needed to jack up the car, so this is sufficient, but basically, I'll show you how to do these real quick. So it'll be the same process for all 10 of these. So just need to put it through the hole, put your rivet gun up in it, squeeze, squeeze again, and it breaks off the remainder, and that one is in. So just go down the line, do the same thing with all the other ones. So I went ahead and did the other side off camera. This is the driver's side, the rear we've already seen, and the passenger side. So same process on both sides. Just take your time. And we have all of that stuff completed. So the only two pieces left are the front. So when it comes to the front splitters, there's a couple things we can do here. You can actually remove the entire bumper, which is probably the safest way to do it, and probably the easiest way to do it would be to remove the entire bumper, because same kind of idea. So if you look at the new ones here, you'll see that we've got these clips on the underside. So we've got 4 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4 little plastic clips, and I believe those are 8 or 10 millimeter screws. And then you'll see at the top here, we've got these same kind of clips that are compression fitted. The only other one, which is the most difficult one, is this one here. You'll see this white clip here. So this is extremely difficult to get to, and where it is would be back here. So if you look in the wheel well, it's actually underneath these plastics, so it's not easily accessible. It can be done. You basically have to like stretch the kind of the fender liner. I'll show you on this side here. So it would be right here in this section. So you would need to do is unbolt a couple of these screws here in the fender liner, pull that back. The only other problem is that these little air duct things are kind of in the way, and so you kind of have to like pull back and pull this bumper out, stretch the bumper out in order to reach that screw, and it's extremely difficult from all of the videos that I've seen. So I'm not going to do it that way. I'm actually going to do it by removing the entire bumper, which seems like a lot more work, but hint hint, I actually have something else that we're going to be installing in a separate bit of video. There's a little hint. And so I figured while I'm removing the bumper for this modification, I might as well just loop it in with the splitters here on the bottom. Alrighty, after you've followed my DIY tutorial on how to remove your bumper, carefully place it on a nice soft clean towel or rug or whatever, just to protect the paint. And what we're going to do is come back underneath here. This is the underside of the bumper, so this is the driver's side splitter here. We need to remove this clip, this clip, this clip. So there's 3 of these clips, and then we're going to try to fold some of this back in order to get to this screw, which is right here. So for these, just use a plastic trim tool. They come right out. Sometimes the inner pin may come by itself, no big deal. Alright, so those 3 are out. So in order to get to this screw here, we kind of need to peel this part back. So what we're going to do is take an 8 millimeter, 8 mil, unscrew this one up here, and then you'll see that we can kind of finagle this out a little bit from the bumper right there and right in this section here as well. Alright, so that, by removing those couple screws, we're able to basically peel this back far enough pretty easily to get to that screw right there. So you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of peeling the inner layer back just enough to get my ratchet in here. This is going to be an 8 millimeter screw. And then finally, once you've got that screw out, you basically just need to peel from the front. There's the tabs that kind of go right through here. That's for the splitter. So if you just kind of peel it back, starting at the front here, like that, it'll all come right off. No broken tabs. Everything's intact. Good to go. And on the passenger side, it'll be the exact same process. And then finally, reinstall is the exact same process, just opposite. Things lined up here. And then we can push in. Like so, compression fits, and then we can go ahead and reinstall our screw right here. And then I went ahead and reinstalled this 8mm here, the 8mm back up here, made sure that this was tucked into place here and here. This is all ready to go. This is all tightened here as well. And then we can go ahead and reinstall our plastic clips. One there, and one there. Same thing on the other side.
All right, and so once you've got the other side on, you can go ahead and reinstall the bumper, and we are finally completed on installing all of the color matched lower trim. So I'll come back to you guys here at the end of the video once I get the bumper back on and show you what the car looks like.
Wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper, underground methods. Top-notch hoes, get the most, not the lesser. Straight terror, product of your errors. Pushing culture, baby, got that product you can measure.